In this video, we'll take up the homework sheet on primary trigonometric ratios. So the first question is pretty straightforward. They give you the angle and they just ask you for the corresponding ratio, whether it's sine, cosine, or tan. Just punch it in the calculator. For question 2, they give you the ratio and your job is to solve for the angle. Just be careful. Just use the correct trig function. So use sine, inverse cos, inverse tan. For question 3, they gave us the right triangle and asked us to solve for the hypotenuse. You could just use the Pythagorean theorem. You could solve for one of the acute angles and then use SOHCAHTOA, but Pythagorean theorem is there, so why not? Solve for angle P, use the tan ratio because you have opposite and adjacent side. And once you have angle P, you can solve for angle Q because the sum of the interior angles is 180 degrees. For question 4, they want us to solve the right triangle, which whenever they say solve a triangle, that means solve for all the missing lengths and missing angles. So solving for the missing angles is pretty straightforward. I had 2 of the 3 angles, so finding the third one is pretty straightforward. To solve for the 2 side lengths, I used the trig ratios. So for AC, I chose the sine ratio because I have the opposite side and I'm missing the hypotenuse side. For BC, I chose to use the tan ratio because I have the opposite side, but I don't have the adjacent side. So anyways, just punch in your calculator and you have all the sides and all the angles of this triangle, which means you've solved the triangle. For question 5, basically, I have a right triangle where this is where how far up the ladder reaches up on the tree. So I chose to use the tan ratio because I have the adjacent side, but I'm missing the opposite side. So yep, tan ratio is a great choice. And lastly, for number 6, we have basically a double right triangle stuck together. So the approach is to solve for y and then solve for x, because you can't start off with x. You don't have enough information. So once you solve for y, you can solve for x. Now the trick here though is when you solve for x, don't use the approximate value of y to solve for x. Just let your calculator do all the work. So the way I solve for x is I did 8 tan 46 divided by tan 35. Okay, so do not round y because then your answer for x won't be as accurate. Okay, so 11.8 meters is perfect for x. Okay, so that's the solutions for primary trigonometric ratios.